All right, welcome. In this lesson right here, we're going to break down how to find your levels of support and resistance. Because when you're using price action, your levels of support and resistance is the where, and the price action pattern is the why. So these levels you're looking for on the chart, this is where you want to enter at. And when you find the where, you use the candlestick confirmation to determine the reason why you want to enter that trade. So first of all, right, always remember it is called a top to bottom analysis, meaning you have to start from the top and work your way down as far as the time frame. So it can be a day, 8, 4, 3, 2, 1, or my preference is the 8, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I always start from the 8-hour time frame and work my way down. Also, always remember you can use the same levels you identify on the 8 or 4 hour, even on the lower time frame. You really got to understand that time frame and times are not separate. Every minute, every hour of the day is all together. The 8 hour is the same thing as the 4 hour. The 4 hour, same thing as the 3 hour. The lower the time frame you go down, the faster movement you're going to see, and the more candlesticks you're going to see. This is why I like to stay on the higher time frame, because that way it's a lot less complicated, and to find my pattern along with my correct level is very easy. So right here today, we're going to break down NZD CAD and identify our levels of support and resistance, okay? So first thing is first, look how right here, I'm staying right in this area. I don't have to go back years and years ago to find an entry right now. That's not how it works. If I come way back here, this is June 28th. Okay, guys, June 28th is all the way back here, all the way to now. You do not have to look what happened last year and 2 years ago and things like that. That's not how you do it. You can stay right here and break it down. So the first thing I'm going to do right here is identify the past to confirm the future, okay? So we're going to identify the levels of the past to confirm the future levels, okay? So right here, I'm going to get a trend line. And why do I get this trend line? Because I can see in the past how it touched above, right? It came here every time and touched this level. This was the past uptrend in the market, right? It impulse correction, like back and forth. But you see how it's making higher highs and going all the way to the top side. And when it came back down, it was a reversal. So keep that in your mind, right? Here's that uptrend, and then it came right back down for the downtrend. But this right here is the same thing as this. All you're doing is buying in this trend and you're selling in this trend. But the levels, as you will come to find out, is exactly the same. The same levels you're using over here, it is the same exact thing you're using over here. Now, real quickly, let's break down and identify these key levels of support and resistance, right? First thing is first, I'm going to start from the top side up here. I'm going to add a level just like that. Let's explain why I added this level here, right? Because in the past, right, you see this touch in the past. You see this touch in the past, right? You see this touch in the past, right? When it fell below here and pulled back, it went to the downside. If we go to our past, did it not happen the same exact way right here? This trade and this trade is the same exact thing. You got to understand that. That's why we're able to enter the same exact way as last time, because we can look to our past to confirm our future, okay? So I'm adding that level there, and you got to understand that you could have added, right? You could have added a sell entry to this trade right here. It broke below there, it pulled back. You could have entered on the 8 hour or even went down to the 4 hour and still got in for an entry, because time is not separate. So that right there would have been a great trade to get into. But let's continue, right? On to the next level. We're going to add the next one right about here, okay? And sometimes, guys, understand it's not always going to be perfect, but the more experience you get, you can kind of read between the lines and just see where things fit at. It's really that simple to see where things kind of make sense at, right? If we're looking at this right here, we can look to our past and see this touch We can look to our past and see this touch, as well as this touch right about here. Okay, that's why we're adding that trend line there. And in a few minutes, you're going to understand why all these levels make perfect sense. Because the same way you could have entered there, right? The same way you entered there, you could have sold here as well. That was another entry you could have got into after identifying the price action pattern, right? Now let's continue on to the next level, right? We're going to add another level right about here. Now, this is what I mean where sometimes I get a little bit difficult at, but the more experience you get with this, the easier it really gets. I can add that level there because it makes perfect sense, right? Let's go across. We see this touch in the past. We see rejection here. We see rejection here. Same thing here. Same thing here. Now, this is where it get kind of weird at, but still, this happens sometime. But it's overall, it's still respecting this main level. You can see how it broke above here and pulled back, and it went all the way to the top side. So this right here is a main factor. The same way it fell below the level, pull back, and that's another entry, right? Break below, pull back. I can enter my trade after identifying the price action pattern. It really always got to just be this simple, right? You do not have to overthink it. But like I said, sometimes it can get a little bit difficult to understand where exactly to place that at. But right here, you can see as we're working our way down, we're looking to our past, right? You can see these touches right here. You see how it comes here and it stops, come back up, come back down, stops, come back up, come back down, stop, right? That's why we can add a level there. Now watch it. 1 second. Going to get a rectangle, and it's just like that. Like I said, guys, sometimes you got to be patient and just let the pairs do whatever it's going to do and eventually take your trade. But look at this right here, right? You see this, it broke below and it came back up. It did have some false breakout, right? But ultimately, it always fell at that same level. Came down, came back up, fell. Came down, came back up, fell. So we can see that this level here is a definite touch where another entry could have been placed, right? Always just remember, it's not complicated whatsoever. You're simply just working your way down and identifying the levels. So now we come right over here and do just like this, right? 1 second. Let me remove that out the way. Now coming down to the next one. I'm going to add one right about there. Why? Because look at our past and then come to our future. We see this touch, right? We see this touch. We see a breakout and a pullback where? To the same exact level. That's another entry. So you're seeing what I'm saying about this, right? Every single time price action is breaking below one of our levels, it pulls back to the same level and we find our entry. It's always just this simple, guys. You cannot overthink it whatsoever. So seeing this right here, right? 1 second, go to the same thing once again, breakout, pullback, that's the trade, right? Even on this right here, we can see break below, pullback, right? Here's the past, here's the future where it made that big evening star, that's the trade. Just understand that it's really how simple that is, right? Breakout, pullback, no drop in time frames, no drop in levels, nothing like that. It's waiting for a breakout, waiting for a pullback, and that's my entry, guys. Always simple. And price action is that. Like, that's the whole key ingredient to price action, where I'm always saying breakout, pullback, because it is that simple. That's all you're waiting for to find a entry. Breakout below the time frame, pull back to the same time frame, use price action as the pattern, as the reason why you want to enter, and then simply get into your trade. It's just that simple, guys, right? Now going down to even the next one, we're gonna get another level, right? Going to draw another rectangle right here. Look how perfect that is, right? Look at our past, look at our future, right? We see this is the past, a breakout, a pullback, a evening star. It's the same thing right here, right? Breakout, pullback, a evening star right there. And that's the entry, guys, right? So the same thing here, right? This is an entry again, right? Same thing here. This is another entry. Once again, this is how simple this stuff is. I did not go down any time frame. I could have, but I had everything I needed right here on these levels. We saw how in the past it came right back to the future. Okay, it's a simple trend. We see this is the uptrend, impulsive moves going to the top side. This is the downtrend, right? Impulsive moves going to the downside. Look at that. Look at that trend. You can see how it pulls back every single time. Breakout, pullback, pattern, entry. Breakout, pullback, pattern, entry, right? Breakout, pullback, pattern, entry. Breakout, pullback, pattern, entry. That's really all you have to remember to get into these trades. So this right here is part one, guys, right? I will have a part two coming up in the next video. I'll see you next time, guys, right? Have a great morning.